indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Roll call.
All right, that's been a minute. Bob Murray,
Here.
Joe Botanic,
Present.
Sheila Hallis,
Here.
Karen Tynas, absent, Mike Short.
Here. Item number 4, public comment. We have a 3-minute time limit in which you can address the board. If you'd like to speak, feel free. Anyone, raise your hand. Nobody? Going? Item number 5, approval of the minutes of the Township Board regular meeting, October 9th, 2025. I have a motion and a second.
I'll motion.
I'll second.
Joe motion, Bob second. Any changes, questions, errors, omissions, celebrations? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, going on to new business for approval. We've got a number of items here. I'm gonna explain them as well as I can, and if you have any questions, obviously I can field those. So 6A, I need a motion and a second in order to begin discussion. This is
motion.
I will second.
Okay, this is resolution 2025-11-1301, authorizing multiple methods of clerk attestation for township payouts. So we have a motion and a second over here, you got that? Okay. So there was a law passed back in 2018, and part of my ongoing path of discovery here is what's been done the right way, what's been done the wrong way, and what hasn't been done. So in 2018, the state legislature passed a law specific to townships that required the clerk to attest to payments, whether they be via check or via electronic payment. So when I came in, I wasn't fully aware of this, and it wasn't being done. Through a training session I went to a couple weeks ago, they said it's state law, you have to do it. So there's a lot of vagueness in the law, and as such that it says that the clerk has to attest to all payments, and in talking to supervisors of different townships, it's done in a bunch of different ways. So I put together this resolution which authorizes the clerk to attest to payments in multiple ways. So the first way that some townships do it is in addition to the supervisor signing the check, the clerk would also sign it. But from a banking standpoint and from a legal standpoint, we don't have and can't have 2 signature lines on a check, because ultimately it doesn't matter. We can do a electronic signature through, Adobe Sign or what's the other one, DocuSign, which is probably one that I'll pursue with you, especially for some of the electronic payments that we do. It's just easier than having you come in all the time to sign off on those. Digital signature, which is, I don't even understand. We could do a stamp signature, which means you could come in with a stamp and stamp every single check. Ultimately, what we'll do, like for example, we're going to approve a bunch of payments tonight, I'm assuming, and so I'll have the checks printed up tomorrow, and I'll have a cover sheet that I'll have him either come in and sign or again send it to him digitally. And then, so you get the gist of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So no auto pen for Kyle?
What's that?
No auto pen for Kyle?
I could probably
Not
figure
on
it
this.
out, but no, we're not gonna do that. So this just spells out what the different methods that we can use for that. You guys approve it, and then we make sure it's orchestrated on a month-to-month basis. Any questions? Concerns? Let's do a roll call.
Okay. Sheila Hallis,
Yes?
Joe Botanic,
Yeah.
Bob Murray.
Yes.
Mike Shorten.
Yes.
Four.
Motion carries. Okay, 6B, Resolution 2025-11-1302, which establishes the official paid holiday schedule for Nunda Township employees for the calendar year 2026. This follows the federal holiday schedule, with the exception of the only one that we haven't had on the holiday schedule since it was introduced was Juneteenth. We haven't included it here. We can add it in, but after talking to Rob, I don't know if there's a need for it, but it's up to the board.
There's already 14
What's that?
holidays on the list, right?
What's that?
There's already 14 holidays on the list.
Yes, yeah. So it would be one more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's an example.
We need a motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Motion a second, please.
I'll motion.
I second.
Seconds. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. So any questions, comments? We'll do a roll call.
Okay. Joe Botanic,
Yes.
Bob Murray,
Yes.
Julie Hallis,
Yes.
Mike Shorten.
Yes. Okay. 6C, Resolution 2025-11-1303, establishing the official annual town meeting and regular board of trustees meeting schedule for Nunda Township for calendar year 2026. Need a motion and a second.
I'll motion.
I'll second.
Okay. Again, same thing. We have to put out a public list of when our meetings are gonna be. And this follows the same schedule that we have presently and has been for as long as I know, which is the second Thursday of the month. Any questions, concerns? Okay, being none, roll call.
Bob Murray,
Yes.
Joe Botanic,
Yes.
Julie Hallis,
Yes.
Mike Shorten.
Yes. Okay, item 6D, which is resolution number 2025-11-1307, authorizing the transfer of appropriations. Need a motion and a second?
I'll motion.
I'll second.
Okay, so this is for the town fund. Again, inheriting a budget from the previous administration. I'm asking for a transfer, line item transfer in the budget from the capital fund, capital expense fund into office expenses, $6,000. Office expenses get wrapped up in a lot of different things. So, for example, if you did not approve this, I could not buy any more toner cartridges for the rest of the year. And when you show up for meetings, we're not gonna have packets to review. Some of his cleaning supplies, toilet paper, all the kind of extensive things that you need to operate. I've had a couple of larger expenses as I came into office. Number one, in the supervisor's office up there, I walked in and, in my opinion, the floors were not well kept. So I got a robot vacuum and mop that does the entire office when I'm not there. Otherwise, we could hire a cleaning service, which is probably gonna be, $50 each occurrence. The other larger expenses, that robot mop vacuum was, I believe, $600. I did upgrade the monitor, so I had a 32-inch monitor in there. There was a 1080 that even when I had these things on, I was ending up with headaches at the end of the day. So I got patched up to a 4K, and then the office chair that I had, when I walked in, was 20 years old. The monitor was, I think, 300, chair was 200. So everything else that's in there is just ongoing expenses. We do have, I don't want to say a number, but it's somewhere between $1,000 and $2,000 in bank charges that I'm working to remedy with our current well, we have two banks now, go with Wintrust, and so those may be coming off. But I don't have any plans for large expenses, but this opens up so that I can, just continue to fund normal operations up there.
Shorty, am I assuming correctly that the 10% cap on transfers applies to the sum of both those accounts?
It applies to the entire budget. So if you look at the entire appropriations budget,
Okay,
which is $1 million,
yeah.
your 10% cap, it would be 100,000. And we're well under that. We transferred in our first month or two, 40,000, 20 of that was related to legal services to pay off the bill from 2 fiscal years ago. And then the additional transfer was for the accounting services that we've implemented in lieu of bringing in additional staff
So this is a line item change permanently?
for this year.
Correct, okay,
Yeah.
so through this year, yeah.
Yeah.
So then it'll stay at 11.5.
It'll, when we go through the budget process in the spring, we'll adjust it as needed. One of the challenges, I'll go into similar, but when we get to the property tax levy, but I intend going forward to do kind of a review of the budget on an annual basis. A lot of our costs are gonna stay fixed to the extent that inflation impacts, but, whether it's, again, I don't plan to, actually expend the entire 6,000. I'm just putting in there an amount so that I have it if I need it, and then when we get to, February, March, when we're doing the budget, we'll have a better idea of where that number's gonna end up, and we can adjust accordingly for the next fiscal year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Okay,
Roll call.
Joe Botanic,
Yes.
Sheila Hallis,
Yes.
Bob Murray,
yes.
Mike Short.
Yes. Okay, we're on 6D, I'm sorry, 6E. I need a motion to approve road district warrants for payment in the amount of $88,264.
I'll make that motion.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Any questions, comments, anything you want to add in from the road district? Nope. Being nothing, roll call?
Sheila Hallis,
Yes.
Bob Murray,
Yes.
Joe Botanic,
Yes.
Mike Short.
Yes. Okay. 6F, need a motion to approve township warrants for approval for payment in the amount of $19,540.80.
I'll motion.
I'll second.
Okay, I don't have anything, and I'm just going through real quick to make sure there's nothing. The only, I don't recall if they put these on prior, but the cemetery, lawn mowing, I have been running those through the cemetery board and reviewing the state statutes relative to the levy. It also indicated that, cemetery bills, while I have a consensus approval from the cemetery board, it's for mowing, it has to be done, we're gonna bring those here afterwards for, official purposes. So, other than that, everything is standard day to day. Okay, roll call?
Joe Botanic,
Yes.
Bob Murray,
Yes.
Sheila Hallis,
Yes.
Mike Short.
Yes, okay. Next item is 7A, B, and C. And what these are, we're in tax levy time, so the way the process occurs is we have to, and I was joking with the lawyer today, I could dress up in the town crier outfit, come in here and announce what the potential levies might be. It's posted for at least 20 days before we vote, so we'll vote in December. And you have 3 different levies here. One is the township, and that covers the supervisor's office, general administration, and the assessor. The second is gonna be the road district, and I'll let Rob address his when we come to it, and then the cemetery. I'll start with, and I started to allude to this earlier, the township, at the county level right now, we're going through levy and budget together. Township is different, and I'm gonna talk to the lawyer and see if there's an avenue to change this, because it's very disjointed. So the levy for the tax funds that will be collected in the next calendar year, we have to set before the last Tuesday in December. The budget doesn't get approved until it can be as far as June of next year. So we're in the position of having to levy based on anticipated expenses that in future years we might have a better idea, but again, having new administrations in place, we're still trying to figure it out. So my approach in looking at the township is there's multiple components that go into it. There's a supervisor's office, which I think at the end of the day, when we come to doing budgets in the spring, we're gonna be able to ultimately cut the budget. The assessor, is gonna be starting his budgeting process after the first of the year. And essentially, the way state statute reads is he's kind of like the road commissioner in that he gets to set what he needs in order to staff and facilitate his office. He's dealing with the challenges that a lot of organizations are dealing with right now, which is A, hiring good people, and B, keeping good people. He's had two of his senior people who have retired in the past several months, so he's trying to figure out, does he need to replace them? And if he does, what's that gonna cost? So that's the question mark that we have. The other question mark that I have to deal with that impacts, frankly, all three of these levies and all three of these budgets is the general assistance program. Now, thus far, we haven't had a large influx of people that have been approved for general assistance. But the unknown, which I'm hoping that we'll have a better idea of what it's gonna look like here in before the end of the year, is what Congress is going to do relative to the Affordable Care Act and the subsidies for those premiums. If they reinstate the premiums, even for a year, it removes a lot of the risk. If they don't, then all of a sudden, medical care, which is part of general assistance, but hasn't been really part of general assistance since the Affordable Care Act was passed, is gonna come back into play. Because Affordable Care Act essentially gives, with subsidies, to most people, medical insurance. So if you have medical insurance, then you don't qualify for the medical part of general assistance. If they don't fix it, and you have a lot of people that no longer are insured, then under the circumstances that are dictated by by state statute and by the policy that we live under, someone can come in and have a medical issue that all of a sudden we're going to be on the hook for. So my hope and expectation is Washington's gonna close that gap and we'll be okay and we can deal with this either. I'm hoping if they do it in the next 30 days, by the time we get to voting on the levy, we can have a different number than we have here. If they don't, the exposure is, if people come in and they qualify because I'm gonna try not to use an extreme situation, but as you can imagine, the numbers would add up pretty quickly. If someone has a medical situation and they incur a large bill, which my wife skinned her knee, she'll hate that I told this story, don't tell She skinned her knee a month and a half ago, and it wasn't healing right. So she was getting concerned and went into urgent care to have them take a look at it. So went in the office, sit on a medical table, and they look at it for about 2 minutes, say you'll be okay, and out the door. Next thing you know, you get bills that show up, and our out-of-pocket was after insurance, and it was still $300. So if someone comes in with a medical bill, they qualify for the general assistance, then we gotta pay. We have $127,000 in our general assistance fund, but the way that the state statute reads is if someone comes in and qualifies for general assistance, we have to give it to them. So if we all of a sudden have an influx of people with medical bills, we have to pay those medical bills. Once the general assistance fund is exhausted, then it goes to the township general fund, and we have to pay the bills out of the township general fund. Once the township general fund is gone, then I found this out, then we have to go to road district and start paying for those bills out of the road district fund. So
Is there no cap on what we would be paying?
Nope. It's Illinois. Which is a crappy thing to say, but it's reality. So what I did with the township fund right now is a levy that I'm bringing forward is the max that we can take, and I don't want to, at the end of the day, take that entire amount. Again, we'll see where things end up with the ACA and the subsidies, and then also as we get farther into next year, or into the first part of next year, we have until, I've got to get a clear timeline, but February or March to abate. So if we were to pass any tax levy, we can go back and abate and essentially say, we levy for X, we're gonna abate a percentage of that, and then that's what's actually paid. And that's what's been done here on a year-to-year basis. And then once we get a more established baseline as we go into next year, then we can, if we need to release or lower it in the long term, we can do that too. That the ACA and the general assistance thing is what concerns me, because a lot of the people that call up now looking for assistance, a lot of the origin of their issues or contributing factors are medical bills, and if we get caught in that bear trap, it becomes a problem. So essentially, we don't need a vote on any of this tonight. We're posting it. I expect that if you guys have any questions about any of this between now and our December meeting, feel free to give me a call. If you want to meter it out in December, that's fine, and we can certainly go down from what's been put forward. So that's a township. The cemetery, theirs is a little bit of a different challenge. The cemetery board and the cemetery fund goes to cover the maintenance of the cemeteries, and obviously in perpetuity. We have 4 of them. The point that they're at right now is the levy that they received last year would be about the same as the cost for landscape maintenance. So just basic mowing and the spring cleanup. And there's I don't want to say the cemeteries have been neglected, but there are things that should have been taken care of that haven't. Headstones that have fallen apart, that are kind of lying in piles, that need to be dealt with. We're gonna, unfortunately, the reality is on an ongoing basis, while inflation has slowed, it's still gonna exist. They're working on moving towards to hiring a management company, which is not gonna cost a lot on an annual basis, but it's gonna be probably about $6,000 a year, and then there's software that's gonna be associated with it's gonna be another $7,000. I'm sorry, another $7,000 up front and $1,000 on a year-to-year basis. So I had a meeting with them yesterday, and their consensus was they need the full 4.99% to sustain. So that's what they put forward. And then Rob, I'll give you the floor. I'll stop at any questions for me so far on either township or cemetery.
Do we ever do this? Full-time,
No, that's for next month.
Okay.
That'll be, yeah. Rob?
I also followed same suit as the two other funds. The road district has 5 funds totally that we individually tax for. The general road fund is the fund that we share with other municipalities, and if anybody's been following along, they know the shell game that had gone on over the last 10 years, in which the monies between the funds were moved for the benefit of the road commissioner, and the municipalities all fell short by over $1 million over those 10 years. I believe that they were jinxed from their money, or whatever you wanna call it. So my intent was to try to restore that back to historic levels over the next 4 or 5 years, back to the same percentages. So I added 4.99% on the general road fund. The insurance fund, last year, we spent $78,000. We have a fund balance of $82,000. I cut salaries, as of right now, it's about 16 to 18% down from last year. So I decreased that fund from 85,000 down to 40,000. And then the Social Security fund had a negative 11,000 fund balance on that. I believe also because removing the 8 employees, we'll find that number to go down a little bit. I did increase it a tiny bit, only to cover the $11,000 deficit that was in that fund. And then the IRMRF fund has $174,000 in balance in it right now. That's 3 times our average spending, so I cut that down to $100. We usually spend $52,000, so I have almost 3 times what I need for that IMRF fund. So my aggregate total, by the time it's all done with the permanent hard road fund added into it, is a 4.99% increase. Same with Shorty, we're gonna go through a budget hearing, and we'll talk about what our needs are. You know, it's taken me a little while to get in there and figure out, you know, the best practices of how to spend the money for the road district. I think I'm doing a pretty good job selling off the stuff we didn't need and buying the things that we needed as a day-to-day piece of equipment or whatever. I believe I have the staffing at the right size. As we get through this, and as I have in the past as a trustee, 6 of the 8 years I was in there, I abated anything past reserves, and that would be my intent also here as a road district. You know, past reserves, I will abate the money back. It's not a slush fund that I should just keep rolling along, nor should I be, you know, throwing into the wind either. So I think being fiscally responsible, I may have reserves and have an ability to abate after that. So
Yeah, we need to make sure your reserves are a concern to me.
correct. I also had that same issue, and we're actually going to talk about that tonight with the additional revenues from the sale of the excess equipment and moving that over to a fund that I can use it. So we've had quite a few garage sales in order to catch up. So there are almost no reserves left behind for me to draw off of. So thank God we don't have any emergencies as of yet. Knock on wood.
Any questions here? I'll open up the floor. Any input questions? I mean, come back next month if you have different ideas. And like I said, we're asking for 4.9, I think, between either lowering it next month, depending on what Washington does, or the abatement in the spring. But until we get a real solid idea from overall budgets, next year will be a lot clearer. It's just making sure that we have the funds that we need to fund operations, short-term and long-term, so. Okay. And then the last item, 7D is in dog. Mr. Parrish referenced, which through, I hope tell me I brought copies with. Hold on. I know I brought copies with. The road district. Hold on. Wait a minute, no, here we are. So Rob referenced his equipment sales, which has generated $147,500. And all that money's been deposited, but the expense line for purchase of new equipment and new,
Placement equipment.
yes, has not, he's got about $100,000 left. So what the ask is to amend the expense budget and the income budget to reflect the funds that have come in that weren't budgeted on either end, so that as he goes through the rest of the year, he has that bandwidth to make those purchases that he feels that he needs to. While it's under the, going back to your question, Bob, about the 10%, because we're increasing the, oh my gosh, I'm trying to restate how I was explaining it, because I talked to the accountant and the lawyer just to make sure, but because we're increasing the revenue and the expense, it has to go through a full amendment process. So essentially what will happen is, and we're going to have to talk about timing, because this has to be available for review with the clerk, so you can just hang copies outside in the board. It has to be posted for 30 days, and then we'll have, and I also think you have to do a notice of a hearing for next month. So I was just looking at timing today. By the time he gets a notice posted in the newspaper, you gotta have a 30-day period before you can vote on it, so we're likely gonna have to move our December meeting into the week of the 14th, so I'll circle back with all of you when we get our dates on that. Rob, is there anything that I missed on that?
No, it's just an understanding is the revenues gained by selling off the surplus equipment goes into the account to buy additional equipment, or it stays in reserves,
Yeah.
you know? It's,
Okay.
part of the garage sale.
Okay. Any questions, comments, concerns? No vote needed. There is no old business for approval. Moving on to discussion, I'll keep to the high points. Phone system, internet service upgrades. I'll do internet first. We did a back and forth dance with Comcast, and I'll reserve my comments, but we end up not going with Comcast for the internet service. They've come to us with a fiber solution that they did a poor job of quoting, and so when it came down to how much it would actually cost, the number went up. Oh, we'll get you a lower number, but it wasn't as low as what they had before, so we passed on it. I did end up getting Verizon 5G wireless up in my office, and it's cheaper than UVerse, so right now I'm running both. But the question mark that needed to be answered with that is, will that work effectively with the new phone system, which is going to be a VoIP system? So going back to the phone system, we signed off on with Clarity to have the new phone system installed. I had a conversation, Rob, with Dan today, so we're gonna have to get a meeting with him next week to talk about the timing of porting numbers over, getting everything, and he said something about a call flow. I don't know what that means, so he'll explain it to us.
I don't have a phone number.
What's that?
I don't have a phone number.
You do?
It still goes to Mr. Lesbrand's.
No, well, whatever. We gotta figure all that out,
I was hoping you'd figure that out sooner than
because I'm
later.
guessing he's not answering the phone.
No.
So that's where we sit with that. So internet service is Verizon is being tested, and if the speeds are actually, from an internet perspective, as good as Comcast fiber solution would have been. I don't know where the tower is here, but apparently it's there somewhere, because beams pretty hard over here. Sherwood Park, no movement there. I've got to circle back with the water department. And likely we'll have to set up a burn in the spring, so I don't know how much that costs, but again, something we'll need to take a look at. Office consolidation, I got distracted on a couple things, so there's been no movement there. It's still going to go forward. It's still gonna have to be a collaboration with the assessor, so it'll, as I told the garden people who showed up, who were concerned about if we're gonna plow the garden over in the spring, I said I have no plans to plow the garden under, so it'll be okay. And the discussion of America 250 and Nunda activities, I will turn it over to Sheila.
Am I the only one with that one? But, well, we had talked about last month, the America 250, of having something that Nunda would be doing, maybe possibly 250 access service for the 250 years, and having the community be able to submit things and put this in the time capsule, then that would be opened in the year 300, when I won't be there. But it's possible they could keep the time capsule at the Historical Society or here. That was an idea, but we should probably get a committee or something besides just me right now, looking at starting January. The Nunda activities, the other thing that was coming up is the Christmas, the family, is it family, considered family Christmas, children's Christmas? I don't even know what it's called.
What?
The Santa thing here at the
Santa thing,
township?
yes.
Yeah.
I don't know what the title of it is, but,
Same thing.
okay, we were looking at December 6th from 10 to 1, and I have a Santa, a real-life looking Santa that is able to come for those hours.
He's a real Santa.
He is.
Yeah.
I showed you the picture. Anyone who'd like to see the picture. But I'm not sure, I've talked to Karen, just, not even, just over a message, but I don't know who organizes that. If it's only me, I mean, that seems kind of silly.
Well, we work together.
Shorty.
Supervisor?
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure, we had talked about, is there any budget for like the kids' activity or something? And you'd said, well, there's maybe something from something, but maybe not. or-
We have a community relations budget, so we just have to figure out what, if, and maybe that's something that, from a consensus standpoint, we can't vote on it because it's not in the agenda, but would we be comfortable approving a bill in December for X number of dollars for candy canes or anything of that sort? We have a bunch of decorations, we have a tree in the room there, so there's not a lot of expense for that,
Right.
yeah.
And Rob, is there any possibility of having like a snowplow or something out with some garland on it or something as kids come in?
Whatever you'd like.
Well, it seems like would be a
Whatever
nice
you want.
township kind of a thing.
Snowball truck. Throw snowballs in the truck.
Oh, that would be very fun, assuming we have snow. I don't know, December 6th, I'm almost hoping we don't, but. Yes, I don't know, yeah, I just.
So, any, I don't have a copy of the budget with me. Comfort level on spending money for candy canes, or is that something we should probably,
Sure, it's not gonna be much.
okay.
The books for buddies, that will all be free.
Okay,
That will be a
right.
donation, but I don't really know how many kids are coming, and I feel like we need to get, like it out on social media
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
I mean, we need to have like an event put out.
Yep.
I can do that, but I didn't know if I should be
Okay.
doing that, or,
I will work with you on that.
Okay,
You gotta
that would
call
be
and
great.
remind me, cause I,
okay, cause it should go on the Nunda page, and it should also be a special event that people could just say, yes, I'm coming, and so we
Yeah.
have some kind of a,
yeah, well, if we set it up on the Facebook page, excuse me, we can set it up as an event, and we can also use that event link to add to like our website, and we can also broadcast it out to the email messaging list we have.
and Karen said there's usually a craft or something, but
Okay.
does the road, do you have any like wood cookies or any anything that we could be using for a craft? And if you don't,
You mean like
like a cookie.
kind of pine or an oak liam in a
Yes, one of
wafer
those, yes, exactly.
to make an
I
ornament?
guess it's called a cookie, yes. Yes, and if
I'll
you
do-
don't have any,
that's
I don't
fine.
know,
We'll
it's
get-
just
we'll get
something,
Gary the
what
tree
do we
guy.
already have here that we could utilize into something?
Salt.
So,
There's no wood left over?
There's a lot of wood up there. There's a lot of mulch. We have a tremendous amount of mulch.
and it would be something, I think it would be nice to have some kind of a flyer, or something to kick off the America 250.
Mhm,
People
okay.
knowing that, you know, it's something we're giving back for, so they have that already in their minds.
Right.
I mean, I'm fine with thinking of things, but I just don't know if I'm the only one thinking.
I'll, you gotta push it, cause
Okay.
I'm whack-a-mole. If anyone
Alright.
else wants to step forward, they're more than welcome to.
And I wasn't sure, Karen had talked about maybe she'd have some elves,
Yeah,
but I haven't heard back from her.
okay. Okay. Well,
This is
call
only
it, let's tackle
3 weeks.
Christmas. Give me until Monday to recover, cause it's
Okay.
just been I still gotta print checks and get them out
That
tomorrow,
sounds fine.
which you gotta attest to at some point. I'll send you an electronic thing.
Okay.
But Monday, hopefully I should have oxygen back in my brain.
And there's no folder or anything of what's been done in the past to know how many people typically
Karen would
pay?
know. She'd have an approximate number if she was here.
Okay.
It all
Yeah.
depends on the weather too.
If there was a folder with documentation about that,
Should there be in the future?
oh,
I mean,
sure,
I'm just thinking.
absolutely,
I'm thinking that
absolutely.
would be something helpful,
yeah.
to look back at the
There,
past,
there
of
should
what's
be,
been
there should
done
be
and
folders for a lot of
what worked
things.
and what didn't.
You're
Yeah.
writing memoirs right now, aren't you?
What's that?
You're writing a daily memoir?
I've got notes galore, I still haven't sit down to author at my writer's table, but we're getting there.
And Sheila, I'll be happy to continue to work with you on the Nunda 250.
Good. Because can't do that all by myself either.
Yeah, right.
Reports by
And
supervisor.
did you find
Yes.
out if Bob and I meet together and then we say, oh, we'd like to have Joe, and 3 of us, and you were gonna check, like with the lawyer, is that okay for us to even talk?
If you're, just don't talk about business, don't talk about levies, don't talk about budgets, focus on
Santa?
Santa
Is okay.
and the 250 celebration, we're fine.
Okay.
If you start to jabberjaw, or someone starts to jabberjaw about official business, one of you needs to realize that and walk away. But as long as you're not talking about business, just don't. If you get close to it, don't. I mean, I encounter this all the time with the county board. We have a lot of things that we'll be standing in groups, and we're a body of 18, but we have committees of 7 people. So if there's 3 of us sitting, standing around talking, majority of a quorum, we're very careful to, A, what the conversation goes on, and B, make sure that we're not all in the same committee. Because even if we're not talking about business and there's 3 of us on the same committee, it's like, a couple, different polarized magnets. We go the opposite way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Beyond what I talked about before, the only other thing that I have from a supervisor standpoint, leaf pickup is ongoing. The dates east and west of Route 31 for those residents in unincorporated areas for when the vacuum is going to go by their house is posted. I've received several calls with concerns about my week is supposed to be next week, but I just saw the truck go by. Is the schedule the way that MDC, which is the waste hauler, manages it? They do. Let's say this week is east. they'll go out starting Monday, do the east side. When they get done with the east side, if they still have time, which they generally do, they'll go to the west side and just do a run through as much as the west side as they can. Next week, they're on the west side, they finish the west side, they go back and hit the east side, just because there's so much volume that if they tried to, stick to east and west, they'd never get it done.
And where is it posted?
It's nundasupervisor.com, right on the main page, very
It's
first
the
item.
first thing.
Yep.
But that two thousand
I
twenty-three
don't,
touch
it's
truck
not
is still
there,
there.
it's not there.
How is it on everyone else's?
I don't know, it's not,
Yeah.
It's on- it's only on.
Still on mine.
Still on, well, Bob and I.
well, I don't know what, there's a fracture in time, and both of you have phones that are jumping between.
Yeah, it's on my laptop.
At some point, we're gonna redo the website. I'm gonna put Rob in charge of that. No, I'm not. We'll figure it out at some point.
How often do you get the water testing people? Does
Rarely.
that happen much?
Rarely. It's the average week, 0.
Yeah, I know, he didn't either.
Seriously, yeah,
I don't have time to truck.
okay.
That's on, let's see,
Yeah.
go up to the top. Yeah, see,
So you got the leaf pickup schedule.
yeah, I didn't even see that.
All right. Any other trustee reports?
I don't have touch truck.
Gonna touch a truck.
No?
Nope.
No,
Sheila, you
I
good?
don't think
Kyle?
yes.
Okay. That's it, just need a motion to adjourn?
How about me?
Oh, do you have something? I'm sorry.
Yeah, you didn't ask.
Oh, I-
Yes, I do. We've had some strange expenses that you just don't think you budget for. We replaced all the digital cameras on the building. It works so well that we can read the license plates of the people that are fly dumping now. And because we changed our sign for the off-hours dumping to be a violation of state statute, Tattleman went and knocked on people's doors. We actually had one lady that came in, she felt guilty before the sheriff got her. Said, I'm sorry, I'm the one that put the tires there. You want me to take them home? We're like, no, we'll take care of them now, but if you were very honest to come in, and she came in the next day to apologize. Unfortunately, the furnace in the office crapped out. We put $1,300 some odd dollars in it this summer for AC, and now, the board and everything else is crapped out of it, excuse my French. It's gonna be about $5,000. I worked on Tuesday to remove the old one and suspend the A-coil, so the new furnace is up there now, and hopefully we'll be able to plug and play it by the end of tomorrow, if not by Monday, as the temperature changes. We changed out the fencing in front of the building now. There's no longer a dump site even available to back up to the concrete blocks and drop off the brush. Brush is only accepted during office hours when the gates open, or on the weekends when we're here. Weekends will close after this weekend, because there's very little activity down there, and we will have locked gates, so the recycling will also be closed. So we will have no more fly dumping or pirating of the steel coming out of there. We talked before the meeting a little bit about our beaver nuisance problem, which was taken care of. We bought a couple pieces of equipment. We bought a 10-foot snow blower for the loader from Nunda Township that they considered scrap. We paid $510 for it, and Al had it running within a couple hours. So she's painted, ready to go. It's like a voodoo doll. It's not gonna snow now. Now that we have it, it won't snow. $510 was the best insurance we paid. We also bought a leaf vac from a municipality up in Minnesota. I know the leaves are running long this year. I'm afraid what's what's happened in similar years, when the leaves fall after NBC is done picking up, where they go, people still take them to the curb, they still sweep them into the gutter, and they sit there. So in the past, Les Prance charged the township like $8,000 a year to go pick them up with the loader, which isn't very efficient. We paid $3,710 for this piece of equipment. The boys went through it, it runs perfect. The guy that we bought it from in Harmony, Minnesota said, it'll suck your rubber boots right off your feet if you're standing too close. So we'll use the chipper truck, we'll suck the leaves up and blow them right into the chipper truck, so it should be pretty efficient and be able to pick up anything beyond what NBC didn't get efficiently. As far as the leaves go, most of the dumps will be closed. I know the garden up here wants some of the leaves up there dumped in there. We had a couple homeowners that said they wanted loads of leaves. If not, we'll leave them up top and we'll compost them for a later date. We emptied out the brine room. I know a lot of you guys saw the brine room. I sold it off to the best I could to get rid of it. Both loaders fit in there perfectly now. We sold the nuclear density gauge. They wanted $1,300 to ship it back to the manufacturer, and then it would release us from a radioactive permit. I was able to find a local contractor that does nuclear density testing. He was able to change his permits to add that humble nuclear density gauge onto his permit through the state. So he came and paid us $1,000 for it. So it's a $2,300 swing for us. It worked out pretty well. We sold one of the 6-wheelers that went to Detroit. We sold Mike's utility truck that went to Danny over the Bolt Inn by the Keys Reef. And then we had an open off auction this week of garage sale stuff with like blowers and chainsaws and chainsaw sharpeners and stuff like that. And that brought in another $2,490, which will be going on to our next pile of reserves to hopefully move over back to expenses side. We finalized the Country Woods paving program with the county. We have a check coming from them for $96,000 for our part. We have 9,000 ton in the salt silo right now. It was all paid for by the MFT money. Like I said, the recycling center is going to close here shortly. We have 16 plows ready to go for 14 routes, and leaf pickup ends the first week of December. And moving on, I don't know if anybody's heard, we've been cutting trees in Covered Bridge. I have a lot of residents that were upset. I had a lot of residents that were happy with what we were doing. I had a lot of people with different opinions. There's a couple residents that are a little rogue right now and making threats and stuff like that. It's stuff that has to be done. It's maintenance that's been ignored for over 20 years in there. And there's a lot of 3-4 inch trees that are growing right along the curb lines, and they're infiltrating the old infrastructure that's in there, which is concrete type. And the roads don't dry out. We end up over salting. The salt goes into what drains where it can. It turns into a mush in there of salt brine. It ends up eating the mortar of the joints. With the freeze and thaw, the pipes move and the joints open up even wider, and the tree roots go even farther. Some of the roads in there now are to the point that they're completely blocked and the water doesn't flow at all. I had brought enough information to talk to the members from Covered Bridge that were supposedly all coming tonight. But I'm going to give you guys the information just so you have it, what I've been looking at recently. For your review later. I'll just keep talking about it, but you guys can look at it.
Rob, I'll be happy to accept one of those on behalf of the board.
Absolutely. I have one here for all of you.
Here's an extra.
What's been happening is there's been no maintenance on the trees in there at all, and the trees are overgrown, the canopy over the road, and the road is always wet or damp. And in the winter it causes, it causes excess salting. The excess salting goes into the tile and reduces the mortar in the joints, which, like I said, allows for more tree roots to get in there. Some of the streets are completely blocked. A lot of the catch basins are showing tree roots in it. I went through AI and asked AI, what do overgrown trees do a roadway besides visibility? And it's listed in here all the way through. The growing roots, the falling leaves can block and damage roadside drainage systems, culverts leading to standing water on the road. Safety concerns for that, winter maintenance, you can't push the snow back. The tree roots can extend as far as the canopy, and they say that if you look at the canopy, the root structure is twice that size. So a lot of the trees that are growing alongside those roads in there, the root system can actually reach the sewer lines on the other side of the road. The salt is really corrosive to the mortar, like I said. If you look at like page 5, you can see what salt does to the concrete, how it makes it fall, it eats the concrete. And then you look at page 6, trees' roots start as a fine, like strands that penetrate the concrete through a small crack, weak joints, or existing holes drawn by the warm, moist, nutrient-rich environment. Once inside, they grow rapidly into a dense matted mass that resemble a tangled bundle of hair or brush, often filling the entire diameter of the pipe. If you look on page 7, you'll see the one I have circled, that's the kind of pipe that is in Covered Bridge. It's 12-inch RCP extruded concrete pipe, which is very susceptible to salt. So the oversalting
opens up for more tree roots. If you turn to the page here, page 9, you'll see a map in there. That is covered bridge and what's going on in there right now. And I wanna just let you know, after going through with Corey and the rest of the guys, what's been going on in there. A is Lexington Trail, where you see the orange. That's all downhill from the L of Lexington Trail all the way down to Concord. Currently, those pipes are filling with tree roots, and the water doesn't go into the catch basins. It flows past the catch basins and runs all the way down to Concord. It pools up in a giant pond right there. If you look where it says A, that's the tree problem we're having. B is the pond behind the Woodman's house, which overfills and sits and stays static like a pond, because the water can't get out. It goes down to point C, which is on Concord, and it fills up the whole intersection, and then it overflows and heads the wrong way. Rather than going left down towards New Hampshire Trail, it goes right down to the circle at the bottom, and then it flows overland through the neighbor's backyard at that 6612. All those intersections where you see the blue, those all freeze and they get over salted. All throughout the whole subdivision, you look everywhere there's a blue dot, that's a problem where there's flooding, or the water can't get through the drain system fast enough, and it completely fills. That big one there on Rhode Island with the red arrow going through it, that fills up so high it goes over the curb, runs between the house and the garage, goes behind the houses on Rhode Island, and it floods all those houses on Connecticut. I have a video from one of the homeowners that lives there, and the water's 8 to 10 inches deep rolling through his backyard, fast enough that you could kayak it. And if anybody wants to see it, I'd be happy to show it to them. If you look at all the places where there's the green dots, that's I. Those are all the places that our crew has been in there trimming back the intersections for sight lines. Places that you couldn't see stop signs, places you couldn't see around the corner, places you couldn't see the school buses. Currently, we'll go back a little bit, where F is, which is the yellow line, that's Concord, Minuteman, and Lexington. That tile is completely blocked. You cannot get any water through it. They've tried jetting it, the jetting won't do it. It's completely blocked, it has to be removed and replaced. Mr. Lesbrandt's already identified that, and he already had plans drawn to remove and replace all that. So if you see here on this page here, you can see that the orange, that's Lexington, and the yellow is Concord. That's what this plan is to completely remove and replace all that storm sewer there. So those trees all through that corridor will all be ripped out in order to remove and replace this tile going to PVC. I'm currently trying to explore ways to clean those tiles and put poured in place fiberglass resin pipe, which I'm sure Joe knows more about it than I do, but it is a viable option that you don't need to remove the parkway, you don't need to remove the trees, you don't need to remove the curves, as long as the pipe is still decent and you can get a cutter through it and get it cleaned, they can extrude the fiberglass bladder in there and then go back and trim the holes for the catch basins. Yeah. Am I correct in saying that? Yeah. I'm not an underground guy, I'm an asphalt guy. This all started with the trees were destroying the asphalt. It's far more than that, what we found in there. All the different spots in there where the water does not drain because of the tree roots.
Well, yeah, the water puddling, the oversalting,
Right,
all because it's not going in the right spot.
correct.
Rob, where were the beavers?
The beavers were over on State Park Road, going into, I remember the summers now. Corey's looking at the camera right now, telling me. It's when you cross over Veterans Parkway, over Bearville Road, go down State Park Road, going behind the Conservation Department, turn right. It's right there. Orchard Heights, yes, thank you very much. So, that's where our beaver problem was. So if you look at page 10, that's the picture of Lexington, and that's, everyone in Covered Bridge seems to have a problem with the fact that, you know, this is what it should look like. It shouldn't look like that. Those are all junk trees that have grown in over time that nobody's ever trimmed back, and they're wrapping themselves around the sewer pipe, the water sewer pipe, and absorbing the water out of it to get the nutrients. And to the point it's strangling it and the water won't flow. And if you look in the curb there, you see all the leaves. All those leaves are going down those same dry wells or the catch basins and getting stuffed in there also, which makes it even tighter and tighter. So if you look at page 11, there's a picture of page 11 what a sewer pipe would look like, or a sanitary pipe would look like when it's blocked. And then if you look to the right, that's what it looks with the poured in place bladder fiberglass liner put in there. So what they go through is they completely route it out and cut it out, all the roots. Then they blow these bladders in there. They inject fiberglass resin on them. They inject steam in there to cure it, and then you end up with a pipe that looks like that can be jetted, can be flushed, can be run through a cutter. Unfortunately, looking at what Mr. Lesbrandt's here, we figured that to be a little over $100,000 to remove and replace the pipe that's in there. Something the township cannot do because it's at depths of 12 to 15 feet, which is too deep for us to dig without proper safety equipment. Therefore, it has to be a bigger contractor, a sewer and water contractor to do it. So you're maybe $125,000 to do this. I looked at the last bid tab for the city of McHenry, which you find is page 12, to see what the unit cost would be for poured in place 12-inch storm sewers, and it was $530 a foot. What's on the blueprint here is 570 feet. You're talking $302,000 to line just 2 blocks of covered bridge. There's blocks and blocks and blocks in there. I mean, this is an epidemic that's coming that could have been prevented, and it's gonna only get worse. And there's no money budgeted for something like this. It's crazy. So I was just giving anybody a heads up. It's far more than what the trees are doing to the asphalt. The trees have completely ruined what's going on in that subdivision as far as the infrastructure and the positive water flow, to the point that it's dammed up in a lot of the spots in there that aren't identified yet, that still will have to do something just like this to it. I'm gonna try and see if I can't go with the city of Crystal Lake or the city of McHenry next year to get a lower unit cost to put on the same mobilization that, when they're out from wherever they're come from, that they also do Nunda Township. But it's a terrible problem that's rearing its head, and it's far more than just the trees that haven't been cut over the last 20 years. So currently, we're in there hedge trimming. We're cutting the trees straight up, even with the curb line. Even though the right-of-way is back 20 feet, we're staying pretty much close to the curb and cutting straight up to get those trees to kind of grow up taller and turn out the other way. But it's very challenging right now. I have a lot of people that are really, really mad at me. I don't know what to tell you. This is a big number, and it's only 2 blocks, The other answer is you go in with a backhoe after you take all the trees out and you re-dig all the sewer line out and start over again. Now all the trees are gone. So, I mean, my office is always open. Anybody ever from Covered Bridge wants to come in and talk to me, absolutely come in there and we'll figure this out. But we have a certified arborist out there that's trying to tune everything up a little bit. It's maybe past its limit that we have this problem with the infrastructure, but that's the problem that we have. So.
Question. If you are able to create the bladder struggle, or rather, support, you have to go in there and first cut out all the roots, and then you put in the bladder. Is there any danger of the roots going back and punching through the bladder?
I don't think they can get through it, because I think it's 3/4 of an inch, if I'm right.
It's epoxy resin, they can't come through.
Yeah, it's like like a hull of a boat. They can't get through it.
Nice. The trees that you are currently cutting, and as a courtesy, you're leaving them there because you want to preserve some of the nature, and you're cutting them upward, will that still not injure the structure?
They're still gonna be going in there, but I think we'll slow them a little bit. But I really wanna get in there and get a better analysis of what's going on. I just looked at this one micro spot and got the understanding, if you saw the map, all those blue spots in there are places where the water's not flowing out of the intersections anymore. So I really need to get somebody a little more advanced than I am with this stuff to go in there and after we get it all jetted, and then we get a camera in there and look at it. But there's so much in there, it's crazy. It's just like spaghetti in there. And when you jet it, all you're doing is washing it, and it fills again with leaves. The only way is to cut it. And if you cut it, you knock all the mortar out of the joints, or you break the pipes. So.
On the areas that you have cut the trees down to the let's say the base, but you haven't dug out the roots, is that okay to leave them like that, or
We're gonna stump them all. We'll come back and stump them. We wanted to finish up in there, and then as the ground freezes, then we can get the stumper up onto the embankment without too much damage, and just we'll grout them all out, and then we'll fill them with topsoil. So,
On average, the roots will grow 5 years
yeah.
after.
I think we're 25 years late for proper maintenance. And, I mean, it's beautiful.
There's still
Lexington
growth.
is beautiful. I mean, you think you're driving through Long Grove, but Long Grove doesn't have curbs and storm sewers, These things are looking for that nutrient-rich water, and they're gonna find that easy way to get in there, and concrete pipe is very susceptible with the freeze and thaw and the movement of the joints, because you're only in like this far, isn't it, Joe? And it's just gotta walk a little bit of crack,
They get through.
and they get through, and they're not leaving.
No.
Based on your discussion here, this is very helpful, because part of our struggle has been understanding the engineering side and having lived there many years,
Sure.
I've heard from, first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Cesar Jimenez. I'm the president of the HOA there. And I've lived there for at least 15, 20 years. And the biggest complaint I've heard over the years is the flooding. And this helps explain a lot of what the struggles that you're
Right.
having. And the color coding of the map is also beneficial.
Yeah, have you ever seen the videos that Kevin Sweat had from his backyard in
No.
Connecticut? The water comes through his yard and his two neighbors' yard, at least that deep, goes right past the house, and there's videos of it going past his patio door, and him going, oh my God. And it's heavy enough that you could kayak it, and it starts all the way up in Rhode Island, like the big gully behind, like to the left of Cortina's house, and it starts coming, because it's overflowing the curb and the catch basin. And he showed it to me when I first got elected. I'm like, where could all that water come from? And I walked all Rhode Island. I'm like, nobody's got a tennis court up here. Nobody's built anything new that would make that much more impervious surface. Where the heck could it be coming from? It's not going in the drains towards Hillside. It's overflowing the land coming at him. And he's at the bottom of the hill. It's trying to get to the creek on the other side of Pilsner Park.
Yeah.
So that's the problem. It's not going in the drains. It can't. There's no place for it to go once it gets in there. So we're gonna have to be kind of aggressive with the infrastructure and see what happens. But I need to cut the trees back to limit the salting and the impact of the pavement. We'll actually be in there tomorrow. You got a couple spots in New Hampshire past your house where it's blown apart. I know a lady rolled her ankle along the curb line there. And then just when you get up to the first intersection, there's a spot where the asphalt's blowing apart. So we're gonna get those patched in before snow plowing season starts. I think Corey has them going in there tomorrow. So just when you see the asphalt crew in there, that's what they're doing. But our intent is to go back next week. We need to finish finish New Hampshire from Concord to Maine, and we need to finish Lexington from Concord to Maine. It needs to be done, and I know it upsets people, but I like trees too. I love the color of them too. Maybe that's the wrong timing for me this time of year to do in there, but I wanted to get a head start. When people see the orange leaves getting cut off, it hurts a little bit, but it really needs to be done in order to get a little daylight, a little sun, a little wind in there, so.
I'll be working to find a way to scan this in a manner that I can forward to everybody and help them understand
Sure.
the work that you're doing, because I understand the struggles that you're having, but if you don't fix this, we're gonna continue having the flooding, and then
Right, and if we don't fix it sooner than later, or find a proactive way of solving the problem, the other 13,000 residents in Nunda Township are gonna be on the hook for about $1 million
Yeah.
for your subdivision,
right.
you know? And I'm gonna say shame on the people ahead of me that didn't do anything about this. So,
Makes sense.
but I have a lot of good comments from the people that like what we did in the intersections. You can see the buses, you can see the kids, and you can see the stop signs, and it's all things that had to be done. It's a beautiful neighborhood, it's still a beautiful neighborhood, you all still live in beautiful wooded lots. We just need less coverage on the road.
Are there any other neighborhoods in Nunda like this?
No, no.
That's good.
Country Woods is overgrown like that, but Country Woods is a private subdivision, that's their own control, and they don't have any storm sewers in there. So there's no place for the roots to go isolated. They branch out with the tree and that's it. If they're under the road, they're under the road, but they're not reflecting through. So it's challenging. I mean, I don't wanna upset anybody, but you know what? There's a huge thing out there that we need to take care of and get ahead of it before it really becomes a big thing here. So I think we're right at the cusp of it. But something has to happen on Concord and Lexington this year because it's already blocked and the water's running the wrong way down, like I said, down Circle Court and then running through the backyards and headed like your way. So nobody should have that much water in their basement. I know Kevin Sweat said the previous owner had 7 feet of water in his basement. And they couldn't figure out where it was coming from, and they asked Mr. Lesbrance, you know, you can dig a swale, and he couldn't figure out where it came from either. But I think he was just starting to figure it out. It's not running the drains uphill, it's running over, so. Anyways. That's what I got, that's what's going on at Covered Bridge, I'm trying. I mean, I could turn and walk away, but I'm not going to.
No, I appreciate the explanation, and hopefully you're able to communicate it, and I know his door is open, which I think is different than what's been going on in the past.
Yeah,
We've been talking.
yeah, I'm always available. If anybody has any other ideas, if that's any other space-wage way to solve this problem without damaging more trees, you know. I mean, if we can figure out a discounted way of getting this, the fiberglass resin impregnated bladders put in there, or lighting in there, without having to damage the trees, then we can walk away, you know, but there's an associated cost with that. What I got,
Thank you.
thank you.
Being nothing else, I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll motion.
I'll
Second, all those in favor, any opposed? Meeting adjourned.